Hey everyone, I'm Andy Raffel from eTeknix.com, and this is a video I've been meaning to do for quite some time now. We're actually going to be calling this Ask eTeknix, something that I've seen other YouTubers do and something that essentially I actually used to do before, probably around 8 or 9 years ago. So yes, if you want to check out them videos where I had a lot crazier hair and my voice sounded, not maybe as deep as it does now, then feel free to check them out. We love having the views, but yeah, I look completely different. But let's get on with the show. So the first question is basically, with you making more and more videos, do you have a favorite that you've done recently? This is a question from Dan, who sent it in via email. Now, this is a bit of a tricky one because depending on kind of, what you're actually looking at. Obviously, time lapses are always fun to do. They do kind of have, they never really go without a problem. There's always some kind of issue, normally with the cooler or fitting hard drives into the kind of brackets because you have to put it in a certain way. But there's that element of it. Other kind of fun ones that I do like doing are the one that I did with my daughter where we actually built a system, and that's definitely one worth kind of checking out. The problem is, ever since we did that one, my 5-year-old son keeps wondering when he's going to be able to be on, as he quotes, the channel. So I've got that as well. But probably my all-time favourite is probably going to be the Verge reaction video that I did where, yeah, I had a brick and I was taking the mick out of, what's his name, Stefan Etienne, I think his name was, who I guess really didn't do himself any favours, but that was an extremely fun video to kind of make, and yeah, actually got quite a few views compared to our normal videos. So yeah, really like that one. So the next question was another one via email. Now this read, what do you plan to achieve with eTeknix in the foreseeable future? I mean, I'm pretty sure that's kind of obvious. World domination, right? Yeah, seriously. No, I mean, I guess just carry on doing what we're doing, and hopefully that kind of, turns into something and we can all end up, everyone who works at eTeknix can all end up driving around in Lamborghinis. That is, I guess, the end goal. No, really, it's just kind of bringing you guys up-to-date content, from a variety of different ways. So whether it be stuff like this, the Ask eTeknix series, if it's kind of, the time-lapse builds, more kind of intricate stuff that is kind of, a bit more technical, motherboard videos, even event coverage, all that kind of stuff, doing all of that. Then obviously we also have the website as well, where we do go into kind of more technical detail. It's a little bit easier to kind of digest at your own pace compared to the videos. So just kind of carrying on with that and just growing larger and larger. I guess essentially the main goal is obviously making money. That's what makes the world go round, and sort of, yeah, being able to provide for my family and all of the staff who work at eTeknix as well, because I'm sure they'd all love to kind of progress naturally, as anyone would in any kind of job. Now the next question was from Mark, and he basically asked, is it better to kind of build your own or buy pre-built? Now this is a really tricky question because when you look at system integrators and pre-built systems, they have the ability to kind of, buy components in bulk. And when they do that, they get quite heavy discounts. So they sometimes, have sales on and they pass these discounts on to the consumer, and that will give you a really good deal. So in the UK, that's going to be, Cyber Power, PC Specialist, Scan, Overclockers, and so forth. In America, obviously you've got the likes of, again, Cyber Power, but you've got iBuyPower and a few other kind of retailers. You've got Main Gear, Origin PC. So there is the facility to do that. Now, whenever we actually review a system from a system integrator, we actually take all of the components that they've got there and we kind of calculate how much it would cost to build it yourself, basically, if you were to buy all the components and build it yourself. Obviously, some people don't have the knowledge to do this, so a pre-built would be better for them. But if you have got the knowledge to do it, yes, it can work out sometimes cheaper, but in our kind of past experience, we've actually found that the system integrator option is the cheaper way to go because of the discounts that I spoke about. And you've also got to remember that you get a warranty. Sometimes it's kind of, depending on the system integrator, you can get a 3-year warranty, which includes kind of a 1-year return to base warranty. So you're actually saving money, you haven't got to build it yourself, and obviously you get that warranty as well. I mean, to me, that's kind of a win-win-win, I guess. So yeah, personally, I prefer building them myself. That's what I do kind of day in, day out. But if you're thinking from a budget perspective, then yes, maybe looking down the pre-built route would be the better way to go. So the next question comes from Aaron, and he's basically said, what made you start eTeknix? Now this is a bit of a weird one because anyone who knows kind of my past will sort of know that I worked in sales for quite a few years. I used to run a mobile phone store in a huge shopping centre. Then I moved on to selling cars. But back in the day when I was 16 years old, I used to run a similar kind of review site to this, I guess, called Tech Arena, which I believe is now one of the biggest online tech review sites in India. They kind of took the name and kind of carried it on from there. But when I kind of got a little bit bored and everything, and some stuff happened to me in my own personal life, I decided to maybe give it another go. So I started eTeknix.com, and the name kind of came from, you know, the fact of email and internet, and, you know, having an E in front of everything was kind of the thing to do sort of 12 years ago now. And I wanted it to kind of, you know, deem as being kind of technical. So eTeknix seemed the logical way to go. And here we are, sort of, 11, 12 years later on, and we're still going. So I guess whatever we're doing right. So the next question comes from an email from Matthew, and he's asked, what is my favorite PC build that I've done kind of recently? So that's really a tricky one, because I did like doing the one with my daughter. Essentially, I didn't actually build that, she did, but that was a lot of fun to make. And I mean, you can see from the bloopers kind of, you know, how much fun that actually was. So there's that. I mean, there's also the element, I guess, of, doing kind of lower cost builds. They're kind of easier to do, but they don't give you the satisfaction. You know, they don't take as long to build, but at the end of it, I mean, it doesn't look that great. You can see kind of I've got the Corsair 680X behind me. That was, you know, quite good fun to sort of build, but there's a lot to it because of the amount of fans that go into it, the controllers, you know, for the RGB, and connecting everything up to kind of, you know, the motherboard and not having enough headers. It kind of, you know, gets you thinking a little bit about planning stuff out. But I guess the main one is going to be probably something like the Lian Li LAN Cool 1, which was a $6,000 kind of gaming build, but we got to do everything with chromed brass and lots of RGB. We, you know, had kind of a big budget that we was trying to kind of build everything to, and it came out looking absolutely amazing. Yes, it took longer to do, but afterwards there was that kind of, you know, pure satisfaction. Same with the InWin 101C, which is behind me as well. Again, kind of custom loop, so it took a little bit longer, but it was soft tubing, so it didn't take as long as kind of chrome brass and hardline. So it depends on which kind of way that you look at it. So the next question is another email. This is from Owen, and he's basically asked, as kind of, you know, when you're building a system, what kind of elements or things do you look out for when looking at a chassis? So I guess the main thing is looking at, obviously, making sure that the chassis has adequate airflow. But I'm a big fan of tempered glass, and that kind of, you know, gives you some restrictions sometimes, because technically you can't really have mass amounts of glass without restricting airflow. There's little tweaks that you can do to kind of, you know, as a chassis manufacturer, to kind of give you improved airflow, but it's never going to be as good as something that has kind of full-blown mesh on it. I really like the Fantex Eclipse P600S because it kind of gave you the ability to have airflow, or, you know, put everything kind of closed up and have, you know, something that's aimed at kind of acoustics. So I guess, having that nice balance, but also something that looks premium. My favorite kind of chassis really have come from the likes of InWin, because they've been quite premium. So the S-frame and things like that. I really like that type of chassis because it's open frame, so you are getting the airflow, but it did have kind of a unique design to it. Problem was, obviously, it's very expensive and is going to appeal to a niche market. But for me, probably that kind of chassis is what I'd look for. And the last question that we had via email was kind of looking at, when building a system, what components I actually prioritize. So I guess for me, I decide whether I'm going to go down kind of the AMD or Intel route. Now, if obviously I'm restricted to a budget, I tend to stick to kind of AMD when it comes to processor and motherboard, because it will actually come out cheaper than the Intel. If budget is no question, then generally I go for Intel, slap something like a 9900K, 7980XE, or even 9980XE, you know, the extreme parts in there that, you know, it doesn't really matter if it's, you know, £1,000 for a CPU, £2,000 for a CPU. Then I look at kind of, you know, GPU and what kind of, you know, would fit into the budget there. Still leaving a little bit left over, obviously, for chassis, power supply, and never, ever, ever skimp on a power supply. So some of the manufacturers that we kind of use for power supplies, you're talking Silverstone, Corsair, Thermaltake, you know, really sort of strong brands who have power supplies that have good efficiency ratings, you know, gold, platinum, titanium. Modular cables I always look for because it makes things, you know, a little bit easier when building, even though I do use extensions, which sometimes, you know, can be a little bit tricky inside a small chassis, but all that kind of stuff. So it's just making sure that the kind of brands that you're going for are tried and tested brands. Yeah, I have actually used some cheaper brands on the market and their products are good, but I'd rather, obviously, if the money permits it, go with something that is kind of, you know, I guess more established in the market. So the next question came on Facebook, and this was from Gianluigi Lamera. I don't even really understand where he was trying to go. I'm guessing some kind of sexual innuendo, but he's basically put, did you manage to overcome mum calling without even trying to turn it off and on first? I mean, is he implying that I was watching porn and if my mum called, I'd have to try and turn the computer? I really don't know. If anyone actually understands this one, please let me know in the comment section, because maybe he was trying to be funny and it just didn't come out that way, or maybe there's a bit of a language barrier. I'm really not sure, but yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on exactly what that one means, because I'm confused. Now, the next question came from Kulski on Twitter. Sadly, it was actually one of the only kind of questions on Twitter. So please make sure to head over to our Twitter, hashtag #eTeknix, and give us some more questions so we can make some more videos like this where we give you a bit of an insight as to what's going on. Now, Kulski actually wrote, when choosing parts for a PC, what are some tips to make sure I don't overspend on a certain piece when it's not necessary for that build? So I guess the best way is PC Part Picker. If you go on there, you can actually kind of, put stuff in and it will work out whether things are compatible. We'll work out kind of, the rough, I guess, wattage of everything combined, so you can make sure that you're buying the appropriate power supply for it, and it also kind of tallies up the price as well, and will also tell you who the cheapest is. So, if it's Amazon or Newegg in America, or if it's Amazon or Overclockers in the UK, depending on where you are in the world, it will actually work all that out for you, and you can put your own prices in. You may be getting some parts from a friend, so you can put, okay, this part that's normally £40 or $40, I'm only now getting for 25. That gives me a bit more budget, and it just kind of allows you to do that. So I always tend to use PC Part Picker. I generally find that Amazon are actually probably the most competitive, because you'll find a lot of retailers actually sell through Amazon, through their marketplace, so you don't really need to go and scour everywhere. Amazon's normally the best. And yes, we do use Amazon affiliate links in all of our videos. It does give us a little bit of a kickback, so make sure you click on them. Now, the next question was on Facebook from Michael Liebman, and he says, how do you get items to review? Do you contact companies, or do companies contact you, or both? What's the process? So when I first started out, I had to basically buy everything. And that was kind of, how I got into kind of the world of reviewing and got noticed. Then over time, you speak to companies, you kind of reach out. It's probably easier now with the likes of social media compared to back in the day. But now you get the ability to kind of, reach out to brands on social media and ask them if you can review their components. Some of them they do want back, and it does work on kind of a rotation system. We generally keep a lot of stuff because, as you can see in kind of the backdrop, we end up building pretty kick-ass rigs like this Corsair 680X, the InWin 101C, and just keeping stuff on standby. So if someone turned around and said, look, can you build us $1,000 gaming PC? What kind of stuff would you build? I can just, grab certain things off the shelf and, price it up and work it all out and sort of go from there. It makes things really easy. Whereas if the brands take it back and I need a specific component for a specific build, I have to ask for them to get it back to us. They might not have it available at that time. It just makes things a little bit difficult. But yeah, there are still points when I actually go out and buy components, mainly accessories and cables and things like that, I can't essentially do a review on. And for the brands, it's all about return on investment. So they've got to look at, if we're leaving something with you, what are we getting out of it? And that's why, we do a lot of builds with kind of the same recurrent components. Hopefully that answers that one. And then the last question comes from Glenn Horton. Now, Glenn, sorry if I've got that wrong, has asked, do you have plans to expand into video gaming tech reviews, etc.? So we actually used to do game reviews. We used to work with some publishers, mainly when our kind of, GPU editor in that, Peter, first started out with eTeknix. He was doing some stuff based on there. And we kind of have moved away from that, but we are kind of slowly moving back. Instead of actually doing game reviews, we're trying to focus more on testing games across multiple platforms and different graphics cards. So by the time this video has come out, The Division 2 is probably now out, and we are doing some feature work on that, where we're going to be testing that on about 12 to 15 different graphics cards. So yes, we will mention a little bit about the gameplay, but it's more testing how that game actually runs on today's latest tech, whether it be AMD or Nvidia on the GPU side. So yes, we are kind of planning to develop into kind of these segments, I guess, which is, exciting stuff for us because it allows us to kind of, hit multiple markets. And we are looking to do some stuff with Twitch as well. So that's going to be coming up. And yeah, there's lots of plans kind of in the pipeline. So if there's any ideas that you guys have that you specifically either want to see on the written side or the video side, obviously let us know in the comments section below. And if there are any questions that you have, remember, you can go on Twitter, hashtag #eTeknix, go on Facebook and post some questions on there. You can always email me. I'm not going to put my email address out there, but if you can find it, you can always email me like some people have, stalkers, or you can just comment in this YouTube video below, and hopefully we can make some more videos like this. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and it kind of gave you a little bit, of an insight as to how things work in the world of kind of, reviews and running a tech website, as well as being a tech YouTuber. I hate that kind of, you know, way of wording it, but that's what we're called apparently. I'm not an influencer, so don't even think about calling me that. There you go. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know exactly what to do, and I will see you in the next video. Hashtag Ask eTeknix. See you later, guys. Bye-bye. I think it came out about $6,000 in total. Fuck off! Give us a little bit of a kickback, so make sure you click on them. Please. Begging you. Be sure to go over to kind of eTeknix. No, let me do that again.